Those, of course, were some scenes from last night's congressional baseball game. I love that sign, Team Scalise. The annual show of bipartisanship took on a much deeper meaning after the attack at the Republican team's practice just one day before. Republican Congressman Ryan Costello of Pennsylvania played in that game and joins me now along with two bipartisan heroes, chairs of the Bipartisan Problem Solvers Caucus, a group that needs more attention, Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer from my home state of New Jersey, and Republican Congressman of my current state, Tom Reed of New York. Congressman Costello, you were on that field last night. You weren't at that practice the day before. Talk to us for a moment about what it was like to play.
There was a deeper meaning to it. I'm a competitor. I think everybody who played in that game is. But when we lost, I was bothered by it, but nowhere bothered as I probably would have been because of what happened the day before and because of the real meaning of why we all serve, which is to help other people, which is to do our best, and to realize that we all have families back at home, and that tragedy could have been a lot worse than it was. And we're just thankful that it wasn't and that they're all recovering right now.
Congressman Gottheimer, you were at the game last night in the stands, and we actually asked you to take some pictures of your bipartisan moments. I want you to share them. But in reality, besides last night being emotional and this turning point between both parties, do you think there's a chance it can stick? You know, I mean, the death stare between Mitch McConnell and Elizabeth Warren when they walk by one another in the hallway. Is there silver lining that this could be the moment when things actually change?
I'm very hopeful, you know, and I think what you do realize, and I'm a freshman congressman, so, you know, I'll tell you my first impressions. People are really good to each other, you know, across the aisle, and the problem is structurally the system is not built to encourage it. So now the question is, can we take the awful tragedy this week and you know, I think all of us are praying for Congressman Scalise and others. But now how do we use this as an opportunity to come together and put it to work around the things that we need to get done for the American people? And that's really the test. And I'm very hopeful and optimistic that that's what we can do in the coming weeks.
Congressman Reed, in another act of bipartisanship, Speaker Ryan and Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi sat down for their first joint interview. And I want to share what Paul Ryan said.
What we're trying to do is tone down the rhetoric, lead by example, and show people we can disagree with one another. We can have different ideas without being vitriolic.
All right, well, Paul Ryan is discussing a sort of Ronald Reagan-era bipartisanship. And Paul Ryan and Nancy Pelosi have said worse, in terms of what they've said about one another, the president has said worse things about Paul Ryan and Nancy Pelosi than they've said about one another. If you want bipartisanship to happen, if you want to get to some sort of Republican agenda that will include working with Democrats, do you have to do it outside the president, who continues via Twitter this morning, where it appears he's taking aim at the Department of Justice? Do you have to go for bipartisanship around the president?
I don't believe so, Stephanie, but it starts with doing what you do as a member yourself. And that's why I applaud Josh stepping up and leading on his side, us stepping up on our side to say enough is enough. It's time to put the American people first. And with this tragedy, I hope it sends a message across the country that we are all Americans at the end of the day, and we are going to stand with each other to solve our problems together. And that's what the caucus is all about.
How are you going to do that?
By leading. By doing what we're doing.
We talk so much, like, when are we getting to the agenda? Agenda-wise, what are you doing in terms of bipartisanship to help Americans right now?
So as we took a position as a Problem Solvers Caucus, as a voting bloc in the government funding, we kept the lights on for the government. Small step, but a good step. We're going to play in the debt ceiling as a voting bloc to say, you know what, we want to make sure that we get this right for the American people. We don't put the American people in jeopardy. We're going to be involved in the tax reform debate early on as a group. As somebody who's going to be on the committee, I'm reaching out to Josh and all the Democratic members to say, let's bring it in. Let's bring it together. Let's put the proposals together, because that's what we have to do, because that's the only way we're going to solve these problems for America, is together.
All right, Congressman Costello, before we go, are you going to be back in the game next year?
I'll be back in the game, and until then, Josh, Tom, and the rest of us are going to focus on bringing about more civility and solving the problems that our country has. We're going to do it as best as we can together, but when we disagree on items, we're going to do it in a way that gives others the benefit of the doubt and hopefully inspires more confidence amongst the people. people. But we'll be back next year, and hopefully we're going to win.
All right, then to you two boys, before we go, hold on.
Yeah,
I love cheerleaders, but New York, New Jersey, aren't you getting in the game next year? Let's go.
If Josh signs up, I'll sign up.
Ah.
Okay, you're on, Tom.
I mean, these two.
But I'll
we're
tell you,
on.
but Stephanie,
All right, gentlemen.
I think we really, this is our opportunity, right? But it's about civility, and we can get things done. You don't have to treat each other in a bad way. As long as you got together and sit at the table, you'll get things done. And so the fact that you're having us all on, thanks. It's a start, too.
Well, sounds like at next year's game, you need Aretha Franklin to sing the anthem. We need a little respect. All right, gentlemen, thank you all
Thanks,
so